One, did you hear about that TikToker who called something like 30 churches and told them that like her baby hadn't eaten for a day,
and they basically told her to fuck off?
Yeah, and like all except for like 3 of them said, "Nah, we can't help with that." No, she didn't just call churches. She also called mosques and synagogues. 100% of the mosques and synagogues were like, "Absolutely, how can we help?"
But the churches,
all the churches except for a couple, were like, "Nope, go somewhere else." Now, in their defense, often when they said go somewhere else, that came with a phone number of where else she could go. But still, if you have an infant that hasn't eaten for a day, like that's the story she was telling. Like if I got a random phone call that I just answered for whatever reason, and the person on the other end was like, "Yeah, no, I have an infant that has not eaten for a day. Can you get me some formula and meet me at a parking lot or whatever to drop?" I'd be like, "Yeah, absolutely." Like, what are you going to do? Hawk the formula on the black market? I don't fucking care. Here's some baby food for you. Feed your fucking baby.
I will say one thing.
I don't like dead babies.
I will say one thing. I know that we're not trying to focus on COVID vaccine stuff. I 100% agree. But I found the number for the risk of increased blood clot with the COVID vaccine. The increased risk is 0.0001%. A percentage that in scientific studies would be considered not statistically significant. So,
like eating one potato chip probably has a bigger risk of a blood clot than that.
So, I can agree with the statement, it increases the risk of getting a blood clot, and I can also say the following statement, that previous statement is meaningless without quantifiable data. Once I look at the quantifiable data, the statement has even less weight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But yeah, anyway, back to the baby formula.
Yay!
Like, I don't care if someone is lying to me about needing the baby formula or whatever. Like what's a case of formula cost? Like $40? Like, I recognize that this.
What are they going to do? Pawn the formula off on the black market?
Yeah. And again, I recognize that like for a lot of people, $40 is like, I know they can't just drop that on someone they don't know. I get that. I am not in that position. Like, yeah, no, I need to feed my kids as well, but I'm not on the verge of starvation. An infant that hasn't eaten for a day is on the verge of starvation. So, like, sure, do I have to maybe, eat pasta for dinner instead of cooking a nice meal? Sure, probably. But a baby didn't die. And even if they're lying to me, it's like, that's like the risk is so little. And I'm not a church that takes in a bunch of money. And I imagine everybody in the audience, if they were in that situation, except for the like, I know some of you are very much not doing well, and you guys don't donate to Project Share. Like, maybe go visit your food banks if you need that. Don't be ashamed of doing that. It's okay. But like, a church should be able to just be like, okay, yeah, here's some formula. Like, yeah, I'll send the secretary out to the store to grab a case of formula for you.
Is Steven Anderson's way of handling this is saying that if we give people baby formula, we're funding fornication?
Yeah, so
what a fucking moron.
Oh, we got another $100, so I gotta get in the onesie.
Get in the onesie, Shinji!
Thank you, Anonymous. Doing it off camera.
All right, well, there he goes. Okay, so I can actually do this here now. We can be back to because I'm interested in the conversation happening in my chat right now. Once again, I will say, I appreciate everybody's enthusiasm having the conversation about COVID. A lot of us are fairly educated on how the vaccine works. 100% get that. And again, the enthusiasm is fantastic. But we got to note a couple things here. One, 15th watcher, when I looked up the statistics on what the increased chance of blood clots are, do you recognize that the number that I found means that your statement does not have statistic significance? Are you willing to admit that? Because that is what the number 0.0001% would mean. Secondly, as far as turning your immune system into a subscription service, actually, no, it doesn't do that. So you're aware that COVID, as a sickness, or as a virus, is one of the fastest mutating viruses we've seen. Like, as far as rhinoviruses are concerned... Yes.
Rhinovirus.
Yeah, as far as rhinoviruses are concerned, yes. Hi, you're back.
I am a virus.
You mutated. It mutates at a very, very rapid rate. So when you say that it turns your immune system into a subscription service, it doesn't, because that's how your immune system was going to be operating in the first place. It's the COVID that operates that way. It mutates very quickly. We get much like the flu or any other endemic sickness that we have. It tends to mutate within our population at such a rapid rate that you can get vaccines that lower the likelihood of you catching things and lower the severity of them, but we cannot eliminate a rhinovirus.
So my main takeaway from this is, if a couple of chucklefuck YouTubers can have all of this information ready to go off the top of their heads, it can't be that fucking hard to find. So stop, don't do your own research at naturalgreenmommy.com. Do your own research in trusted medical sources.
But Natural Green Mommy is hot.
Okay.
Natural Green Mommy sexy.
So Steven Anderson, with reference to, I'm pretty sure this was with reference to that TikToker who was trying to feed her baby. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, she didn't.
It absolutely
have a baby. It was a test, but he said, should churches give money to single mother whores who pay for their bastard children, or should the church's money be used exclusively for the work of the Lord?
I feel like feeding children is the work of the Lord. In fact, I'm fairly certain Jesus did exactly that.
Anyone who causes these little ones to come to harm, it'd be better for them to not have been born. It was that's a paraphrase of a thing that Jesus said. So yeah.
Stop making fun of us poor Americans.
Quite famously, Jesus hung out with a whore. That was one of his closest disciples.
Yeah, so Steven Anderson thinks that Christianity is an old boys club. The more I listen to him speak, the more I feel like that is what he thinks it is.
Why would you listen to him speak?
Because I do it for my job.
Yeah, I have the same job as you. I don't listen to this guy. Last time I heard Steven Anderson speak was when I covered a Matt Powell video that had him as a guest.
The fact that Matt Powell had Steven Anderson on as a guest is wild.
Well, it was, I think it was in Science Falsely So Called.
Oh, okay, yeah.
He was part of the round table of other NIFB pastors who all agree that evolution didn't happen. Yeah. And, even in Steven's own audience, 65% of them say go ahead and fund the fornication because you're not supposed to be judging people. You're just supposed to be doing good works.
Yeah, easy. It's sad to think that not only does Steven Anderson truly believe the things that come out of his mouth, but it's sad to think that there are people that listen to that and go, hell yeah. Because I remember the God Guns Guts and Glory, the dude who tried to call me a pedophile on his stream multiple times. One of them, Young Ripa being the other one. I remember him constantly going to bat for Steven Anderson as a perfect man of God.
Well, then he either hasn't read his Bible or hasn't actually heard anything that Steven has said. Because, those two things are incompatible. I mean, unless we're talking, I guess if you cherry pick, there are terrible things when Jesus said, "I did not come to bring peace but a sword." And if you don't hate all the members of your own family, then you can't follow me. So yeah, Jesus did say some stuff that would work for Steven Anderson, but most of it was not that. There was a much greater focus on helping the poor and needy than there was on not liking your family.
On the COVID thing from before, I hate to keep wrapping back to this.
God damn it, sir.
So I did ask for them to provide evidence of the claim that COVID-19 vaccines turn your immune system into a subscription service. So they provided an article from PubMed that said, since the introduction of the mRNA vaccine by Pfizer, efficacy and immunogenicity waning of COVID-19 vaccines was reported, and decision-making regarding a booster remains a top priority worldwide, a decision that should be made based on breakthrough infection rate and antibody titer decline over time. The conclusion of the study was antibody titer drops rapidly 1 month after the second dose of the vaccine. All infections within the study period were mild or asymptomatic, after which titer elevations were seen. That is just how a vaccine...
The vaccine works, but the immunity wears off over time.
Yeah, that's, again...
Okay.
And the reason the immunity...
I'd rather get a bunch of shots than get COVID once.
And the reason that the immunity wanes over time is one of the main reasons is how fast the virus itself mutates.
Jester says Cirrus is a slimophile.
Oh, well. Possibly. Like, that information there.
Magical Cat Girl says, COVID vaccine turned me into a cat girl. Best vaccine ever.
Jesus Christ. But yeah, that doesn't mean that your vaccine is now a subscription service. That is just the way that vaccinating against COVID works. It is a rapidly mutating rhinovirus. This is what we would expect. It doesn't, so you said it decreases antibody production. It doesn't decrease your body's total antibody production. That's not what the study says.
No, it's just the increased antibody production fades over time.
Yeah.
Is what I got from that.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting from it too, and I'm reading the same thing. It's not saying that it decreases the rate at which your body can produce antibodies for everything. All it's saying is that the shot itself has to be boosted.
I'm curious about what this person thinks of the measles vaccine.
Yeah.
Because if I find out they're anti the measles vaccine, I got some fun information for you regarding your immune system being a subscription service or whatever. So
I would also point out that tetanus, the tetanus shot works the same way, but because tetanus is not a rapidly evolving sickness, we tend to only need that one every 10 years. Like, there are very few vaccines that you can get that are a one and done, you never need them again type of deal, unless, of course,
most of them are diseases that don't mutate fast enough to have seasonal variations like COVID and the flu.
Or if it's a disease that we have gotten very close to eliminating, and therefore the vaccine literally just needs to be there to make sure your immune system is good during a formational period.
Yeah.
15 Marker says, I'm fine with the vast majority of vaccines. Fair enough.
Okay. Because it drives me nuts when people use these same talking points against the measles vaccines, because the measles will actually completely wipe out your immune system. Like, any immunity you had to other diseases, measles will wipe that out. Yeah. So, if you I'd much rather get vaccinated for the measles than get the measles and then need all the other vaccines again.
But I will say, in an ideal world...
Yeah, okay, not the system, but the immune memory, yes.
Yeah, in an ideal world, we could get one COVID vaccine and that would be it. But that would require COVID to operate ideally. As COVID is a rapidly mutating rhinovirus, it doesn't behave in a way that's conducive to us being able to just eliminate it or do a single shot and it's all done. We're gonna have to also, constantly update it just like we did with the flu.
I don't know if they do this in your pharmacies, but when I got my COVID booster this year, they asked me which shot I wanted, which is fucking weird to me because with every other vaccine, it's just, here's the shot. Now you have it. And there are multiple versions of that, but this is the one that we have, so that's the one you get. With COVID, it was okay, we have the Pfizer and we have the, whatever the fuck I don't remember these companies' names, Johnson & Johnson or whatever. So I don't know if this is the same in American pharmacies, but in the Canadian pharmacies, you can choose to have the not mRNA one.
Yeah, I'm also...
if you're scared of the new technology, you can get the one that's not the new technology.
You can get a classic vaccine. I will also say there's a thing that's happening in the chat, and I said for it not to happen the last time. There is a lot of assuming what this individual's intentions, consummation habits, all of that are... Guys, when conservatives do that shit to us, we get fucking angry. So why are you doing that as well? Let somebody explain their positions, and if they explain a position that is bad, they've shot themselves in the foot. If you ascribe a bunch of positions to a person, you have to do the work of detangling that conversation to get to the point where the person can shoot themselves in the foot. I don't know what you're trying to accomplish other than a holier-than-thou conversation.
Also, there's a very big difference between someone who might have concerns about what they see as a very new technology, and there's a lot of misinformation going out there where I could see someone who is perfectly reasonable. You're okay, well, the new vaccines are experimental still, even though that's not actually true. So it's entirely possible for a vaccine positive, reasonable person to have concerns about the mRNA vaccines.
Yeah.
And if we just assume that they're completely anti-vax and run with that before talking to them about that. That's why I didn't be like, oh, you're an idiot because you also don't like the measles vaccine. It was like, no, I want to know your opinion on like different vaccines before I make that assumption. Yeah. You're not going to change minds by being like, oh, well, here's other positions that I assume you hold.
Like for any of you who want to know how to have one of these conversations where you don't end up having an actual mega disagreement that makes everything fall apart, please go look at the video from the No Kings protest where I went up to the Trump supporter who was the anti-No Kings protester with the Trump flag. Watch my conversation with him. I'm willing to just toot my own horn and say that's the technique that works. Ask somebody questions about their positions. Get them to justify their positions. If they come to a point where they can't justify them, that may be their moment of introspection. But you can't control where a person's brain goes.
So Paige Wilder OO says, Project Share sounds like a good cause. I just didn't think food insecurity was an issue in Canada because the rental crisis gets more attention. Yes, food insecurity is also an issue in Canada, but with regards to the rental crisis, they also help with homelessness. Like, Food Bank is not the only thing they do. They also run a homeless shelter. They help people find jobs. They help people with late bills and stuff like that. They do a lot of good stuff that is not just food insecurity stuff. But yeah, food insecurity is also an issue. Base method of giving out rope. Thanks, Cirrus, says Jester.
The base method of giving out rope. I mean, it kind of is and kind of isn't. For some of it, I legitimately want to know somebody's positions. I cannot talk about a position that I've, like, facsimiled onto them. I don't think that that's very useful. That's a thing that people that I make fun of on my channel do. I don't want to be the one that does that because I make fun of people when they do it.
Yeah. I mean, it's also just better for a conversation if you actually know what the other person's positions are before you start to talk about them.
Hey, you made it to the end. I want to give an extra thanks to the patrons who allow me to do this full time. I want to thank Aaron Rail, Astral, Britzkrieg, Jemshin, Poundini, Red Joker, Victoria, Jonas, Craig, Tarika, Fireshard, Smiling GM, John, Dren Hadamada, Creeper, Sagitt, you know I'm not saying that last part, Valis of Seraph, Ottoman Angel, Rooster Rachel, and Fire Panda, who are all my $20 and up patrons.